Previously on the Rod Pedersen Show.
Week 1 almost in the books in the National Football League. What were your takeaways?
Well, I mean, the Dallas Cowboys defense was nothing short of phenomenal last night, and New York Giants fans in the tri-state area are losing their mind over their performance. But let's give some credit to Jerry Jones and the Cowboys and that team they put together, who had a unusually unremarkably quiet training camp and preseason. And all the focus seemed to be in Aaron Rodgers and the Jets and other teams around the NFL. And the Cowboys quietly went about their business. And that was an absolute complete domination. The 49ers under Brock Purdy, to go into Pittsburgh to win like they did, I think there's a lot of people realizing just how good the 49ers are. And this piece of history here, I want to read it. Brock Purdy now is the first quarterback in the history of the NFL to lead his team to win in his first 6 starts and throw at least 2 touchdowns in each start. He's been that good. That really stood out. And I have to say, I was very impressed by Baker Mayfield and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in their Week 1 victory. He looks like he's going to be a good fit in Tampa, and he stays healthy. It's going to be very interesting.
Get ready for the Rod Pedersen Show.
Roads I didn't expect to go down today, Alex, for 100. Ding! Jeff Fairholm, my favorite Rough Rider ever, he was on John Heward's staff. He said to one of the reporters, I think it was Perry Lefko, he's like, hey, would you interview me, Perry? And Perry goes, no, I can't, because if I interview you, you'll be fired. John Heward said so. Jeff goes, yeah, so interview me. I want out of here. And I think that's exactly what happened.
This is the Rod Pedersen Show.
Hi, everybody. Oh, that was a great story. Thank you, Fairway, for that. Welcome, everybody, to your favorite daytime sports talk show. Life is great. It really is. I hope yours is today on this Tuesday. How could it not be in beautiful, sunshiny South Florida? That's one half of the show. The other half is Toronto. Don't mind me. I'm just voting on the poll here as we head up to Toronto for the other half of the show. Darren Moose DuPont joining us from there, very close to the Game Plus studios. That is our television carrier all across Canada and 1 U.S. states. And, of course, we're on the radio in Atlanta. And listen up, Atlanta, because you're going to be heard from in the news here coming up here shortly. But, Moose, what's popping with you? How are things?
Yeah, things are great. It's rain-soaked here. So I think that rain that was in New York last night, don't mean to laugh at what went on last night, but I think that's made its way up north here to the GTA.
Yeah, a lot of rain across the eastern seaboard for NFL Sunday and Monday. And there is your weather report. Coming up on the program today, we've got Luke Gazdic from Maple Leads and Rogers Sportsnet NHL coverage. He's in hour 1, and in hour 2, Blue Jays podcaster and columnist Mike Wilner, the infamous host for years and years and years of Jays Talk. And other than that, can you hit the quick 6 show horn, please, Jordan, and we will get down to business. You know, this is the great thing about this show and live daytime sports talk. We are live, I think. And here's the breaking news we are all waiting for. Aaron Rodgers has a torn left Achilles tendon, according to a source, and the quarterback likely will miss the rest of the New York Jets season. An MRI this morning confirmed the 4-time MVP's injury. The source told the Associated Press Jets coach Robert Saleh was scheduled to speak to reporters on a video call this afternoon. NFL Network was the first to report Rodgers tore his Achilles tendon, confirming the Jets' fears. And, of course, torn Achilles tendons typically take months to recuperate due to the extensive rehabilitation that's required. So the story on that, of course, comes out of Monday Night Football. That was where we would have started, except for this breaking news that we now know that it's a torn Achilles. I don't know if the team's officially announced it or not, Darren, but here is the 2-3 sentence Associated Press story from Monday night. Quarterback Aaron Rodgers was knocked out of the game with an Achilles injury just 4 plays into his New York Jets debut, but his NFL team rallied behind its defense and shocked the Buffalo Bills 22-16 in overtime. Jets rookie Xavier Gipson returned a punt 64 yards for the winning score. So how about that? You and I both, and 60% of our respondents voted for the Jets to win last night. We didn't think it would happen this way. What a Monday Night Football opener, Derry. Your thoughts?
Whoa, yeah, it was something, and for that to happen so soon, I mean, you have Jets fans that literally in week one see their season go up in smoke. They're done. But their defense is still really good. They had a amazing catch for the touchdown that Zach Wilson threw and Garrett Wilson somehow caught. And they survived. But now we know Aaron Rodgers isn't going to play the rest of the year. And that's the big story. And on the other side, Bills fans couldn't take advantage of that. When you're playing a Jets team without Aaron Rodgers all game and Josh Allen turns the ball over 4 times, including 3 interceptions to the same player. It was a wild Monday night opener, no doubt.
Well, it's quite interesting that you would say that because Josh Allen, the Bills quarterback, said afterwards, he goes, it's tough when you feel like you lost your team the game and I lost my team the game. The 3 picks you mentioned, but also he fumbled at a critical time in the fourth quarter. And, the Bills lose, and they were favored by 2 going into the game. So with Aaron Rodgers out, Zach Wilson rallying them to victory, that is the poll question today for our friends at Key Auto Group. It didn't take long right out of the gate. In our poll question daily for Key Auto Group. With the Key Auto Group, most vehicles receive a lifetime engine warranty. Guaranteed. Go to keyautogroup.ca/the Key Advantage for eligibility and maintenance requirements. The Key Auto Group here to take care of you. Who should replace Aaron Rodgers with the New York Jets? That's the poll question today, and our options are Zach Wilson, the incumbent, Tom Edward Brady, 3, Nathan Rourke. Should they swing a trade or go snatch him off the Jaguars practice roster, or somebody that we haven't even heard of or thought about yet? My vote is for Zach. Last I saw, he's running away with the vote that Zach Wilson should be the guy that the New York Jets will stick with, and I think that he is when they go into Dallas in week 2. Unless you think otherwise, Darren, what was your vote? What do they do now in the absence of Aaron Rodgers?
This becomes Zach Wilson's team again. I really believe that. Throwing Tom Brady in the poll is very intriguing. And he looks great, and he's staying connected to the National Football League and looks like he's staying in shape and all the rest. And there's always that possibility. It's a team that's ready to win a Super Bowl. But I think at least for the time being, this is Zach Wilson's team. Now, he only came in and threw 140 yards. Even down the stretch in that game in the fourth quarter, they didn't trust him to throw the football. Even to throw it up to Garrett Wilson, they ran the ball, controlled the clock. So I don't know how long his leash is going to be. But I think if he stumbles at all in the next 2-3 weeks, I think they give him at least 2, 3, 4 weeks. But if he stumbles at all, and they've got a tough schedule, then I think you'll see Tom Brady rumors start to bubble a little bit to the surface, whether there's any credibility to them or not.
Folks, we got a lot of time here, 2 hours on Game Plus Television and Key Radio to get into all of these topics. So just settle in. We've got all these new viewers as we've added a new cable carrier in Western Canada, up to 2 million new homes being subjected to the RP show on Game Plus Television. So just, Darren, you if I told you off air, you would know who this guy is, but I talked to a football coach in the United States today and via phone, and it was a fun chat. And one thing about this show is I just let everybody in on our world and my conversations. And he brought up what you just said. You said Zach Wilson only threw for 100 and whatever it was. He goes, Rod, you look around the NFL in week 1 and very few quarterbacks threw for over 200 yards, win or lose. And I said, well, Joe Burrow didn't even throw over 100 yards. He's like, yep. So if you talk to the odds makers and the point spread makers, and those making picks, they said week 1 is usually just a dog's breakfast, as it is, right?
Yeah.
So for the Jets, it really was. But they won. Aaron Rodgers is gone. And I could sit and go on forever and ever and ever. They played a larger snippet of that interview with John McEnroe and Aaron Rodgers on the pregame show. I don't know whether you watched it or not. And we'll have to come back on this because there's a lot of topics to get to here today. But basically John McEnroe said, if you saw it, he's like, what if things go wrong, Aaron? Have you thought about if things go wrong? And Aaron was like, why would you even put that out there? Why would you even give that life? And then 4 plays in. So, way to go, John McEnroe. Blame him.
Yeah.
Point two, the Toronto Blue Jays will attempt to even their 4-game series with the visiting Texas Rangers tonight when they send lefty Hyun Jin Ryu to the mound. Jays had their 3-game win streak snapped Monday with a 10-4 loss to Texas. Meanwhile, Randall Grichuk drove in the go-ahead run with an RBI single on the top of the 11th, and the Los Angeles Angels beat the Seattle Mariners 8-5. The Mariners have lost 4 in a row, and they're 4th now in the American League wild card race, a half a game behind the Rangers and a full game behind the Toronto Blue Jays. If people have noticed, I saved the CFL for the second segment where we can spend more time on it. People have written in, Moose, with some CFL questions and some good ones, and we'll get to that. I've had 2 people in the last day say different things to me. One is, you're a great CFL ambassador. That's one. And 2, you're the Pat McAfee of the CFL. And I thought, I've heard that before. I don't know how I feel about that, but I guess I'll take it. As long as I can live in Florida, I'll be the CFL ambassador all you want. As long as I can live here. Yeah?
Yeah. I like it. And 2 great comparisons and 2 great things. Hey, if that's what you're known for, I'd be really proud of that. But I know there's a lot more to what we do than just that.
Right. Far worse things than that. But point 3, the breaking news today from the Hockey World Center, Adam Lowry was named the Winnipeg Jets' new captain today. He is the 3rd Jets captain since the team moved from Atlanta to Winnipeg in 2011. He follows Andrew Ladd and Blake Wheeler. Lowry scored 13 times and added 23 assists for the Jets last season. He has 93 goals and 111 assists over 9 NHL seasons, all with Winnipeg. The St. Louis, Missouri product, son of longtime NHL'er Dave Lowry, was selected 67th overall in the 2011 NHL entry draft. He was an alternate captain last year, along with Josh Morrissey and Mark Scheifele. All I'll say about this is I think the Jets are moving in the right direction. I called Adam Lowry's games in the Western Hockey League, but I don't personally know him. But just look at him. He's a man-child. He seems very mature on the ice. He's an honest player. He seems to be everything that you'd want to have in your captain. Yesterday, on the spot, you did a really nice job of coming up with your 1 through 7 rankings of Canadian NHL teams. And for those uninitiated or maybe who weren't following, here's the recap. Darren had Edmonton 1, Toronto 2, Calgary 3, Ottawa 4, Vancouver 5, Winnipeg 6, Montreal 7. You've had 24 hours to percolate on that. I see some people on TikTok didn't necessarily entirely care for your prediction. There were some F-bombs dropped in there. Do you want to change it, or are you sticking with that?
I'd only maybe, again, I said on the show that 4 through 6 can be juggled. And there's some intrigue. Some fans have said, watch out for the Canucks. They're going to surprise you. But you know what? No, it was on the spot. I'll stick with it. I feel like I need to apologize to Winnipeg fans for putting you 6th. But you know what? Somebody had to go 6th. And after the way last year ended and the change they've had, I like the direction they're headed. But no, I'll stick with it. I'll be a man, and I'll stick with what I said yesterday.
That's funny because some of the comments I read were telling you to do things that were anatomically impossible. That's what I saw.
Exactly.
So.
Oh, you saw those, hey?
So these are. Yeah. Listen, I have a TikTok account. I just very rarely peruse. I honestly can't stand it. But when you post things, I do go on from our account to have a see what people are saying. And they weren't real nice when it came to your NHL predictions. So here are mine, if I may. And you're right. The top 2 is real easy. It gets real difficult from, I'd say, 3 through 6. But here are mine. Rod's Canadian NHL rankings 1 through 7. Number 1, the Edmonton Oilers.
How about
Number
that?
2, the Toronto Maple Leafs. Those match yours. Number 3, it took a while. But I'm with you. I'm going to go with the Calgary Flames. Perennial underachievers. But now's the time
Hot damn.
to Put up or shut up. Number 4, the Winnipeg Jets. A lot more Winnipeg love from me than him. Number 5, the Vancouver Canucks. Ho, ho, ho. Number 6, the Ottawa Senators. And number 7, the Montreal Canadiens. And that might be a Western Canadian bias from me. Yeah, but I don't care. You know what I mean? I don't watch Ottawa and Montreal as much as I do watch the Flames, Jets, the Canucks, the Oilers. But those are mine. And I think Vancouver misses the playoffs, as do Ottawa and Montreal. But I got the Jets made the playoffs last year with a dysfunctional outfit. They've made all these changes to correct things in the summer. You'd like to think that they're better. As a matter of fact, I'm putting them ahead of Calgary. Let's do that again. Edmonton 1, Toronto 2, Winnipeg 3, Calgary 4, Vancouver 5, Ottawa 6, Montreal 7. There you go. Our hockey coverage is brought to you in part by Common Crown Brewing. Head down to the tap room Thursday through Saturday, noon to 8 p.m. Check out Common Crown Brewing at commoncrown.ca. They have us on the televisions there. They tell me on their cable television. Common Crown Brewing, they bring you our sports updates and hockey coverage. Now, we got a couple minutes here in this segment, and it's going to be a lot of CFL next segment and whatever everybody else wants to talk about, Darren. But listen. My question is this. The CFL stretch drive kicks off this week with Week 15 games. So we're going to take a look at this week's schedule. We're going to look at the standings. I'm going to ask you and our audience what they think is going to happen from now to the end of the regular season. But I talked to a football coach this morning, as I mentioned to you. And he said, we were talking about the Elks, and he goes, now they're dangerous. And at 0-9, who would have thought that? But they are. Winners of 3 of their last 4, and they go into Sask this week, and a Sask win probably snuffs out any chance Edmonton has of catching Saskatchewan, but an Edmonton win, and oh boy. So we'll look at all the teams and everything else when we come back. So we are only halfway through the warm-up. We are live on the Game Plus Television Network, WQEE Radio, podcast, and YouTube Live.
We're all capable of doing more. More speed, more reps, more commitment to getting every detail perfect. And that's why it's important we never miss a donation appointment. Blood and plasma donors are needed every day in Canada to support thousands of patients that rely on Canada's lifeline. We're asking you to join the Hockey Gives Blood Partners for Life team. Join today by downloading the Give Blood app or book online at blood.ca/HGB.
The sports landscape continues to change, and teams and facilities are under more pressure to provide online and in-venue entertainment. They need the right team to deliver their product. Look no further than IKS Live. We provide service across North America and produce the best fan experience across all platforms.
Did you know that you can help save a life? And you can start right now.
Stem cells from male donors increase chances of positive outcomes for patients, yet they only make up 40% of our registry.
Today, there are hundreds of people in Canada searching for their life-saving match.
You can be a patient's best hope. Be a hero by registering with Canadian Blood Services Stem Cell Registry now.
Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902-518-3033.
Here's how your business can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show. All you have to do is contact us, and we will tell you all about the dynamic and exciting marketing opportunities we have, utilizing a fully integrated 360-degree multi-platform. Imagine your business seen and heard across Canada on Game Plus TV and around the world on the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. You will use one of the most overused expressions in sports. You gotta be kidding me. Get your business involved. Contact the Rod Pedersen Show today.
Collectors, register for the Premier Sports Card Convention, where collectors, enthusiasts, and sports lovers unite to celebrate the beauty and value of their treasured items, taking place in Red Deer, Alberta, in the Parkland Pavilion, September 29th, 30th, and October 1st. Get your tickets and more information at premiersportscardcon.ca. That's premiersportscardcon.ca. And speaking of Red Deer, as we'll bring Moose in here. He's in Tirana. I'm in South Florida. Ted in Red Deer writes in, and he says, no tea time for me today. I'm going to sit back and enjoy the best 2-hour sports talk show. Thank you, Ted. Glad to have you out there in Red Deer. Adam in Hamilton says, I've never liked the New York Jets, but if Nathan Rourke started playing for them, I'll become an instant Jets fan. And Leanne says, before I get back on point, she says, financially, can the Jets even afford Brady? I'll say something that the football people told me a while back, and I haven't forgotten it, Darren, and that is, don't worry about the salary cap stuff. No, it's not for you and me or you, Leanne, to worry about. They'll figure it out. Somehow or another, the New England Patriots found $13 million to give to Antonio Brown when he was a free agent, and however million they gave AB in Tampa Bay when they went on to win a Super Bowl. So Tom, number one, doesn't need a lot of money, and so I don't think he's going there. And two, don't worry about it. Is that fair? Because I know the fans want to worry about things. That's a fan's lot. But I've been instructed not to worry about those things. You?
Yeah, it's a great outsider mindset to have. You can't worry about it. Don't worry about the salary cap. They'll figure it out. The Nathan Rourke angle is interesting because you know that the agents are there, and you know that the Jets are starting to look at who else is out there. They need a strong number two. I mean, they've got another quarterback that they'll bring off the practice roster and activate, but people are starting to wonder, where's Chris Streveler in all of this? Where's Nathan Rourke? Does he get snapped up off the Jags practice roster? So there's all kinds of different angles, and they'll be looking really far and wide to assess their options and make sure that room is deep because the group around is ready to compete for a Super Bowl.
We interrupt this broadcast to tell you that Thaddeus is watching from the Pompano Beach House. Thad is watching. Our favorite general manager. We were just down there on Friday. Thanks for lunch, Thad. Moose, you met Thad, right, when you came through? You had to.
Oh, yeah.
For the 1,000th episode. And here's what he told me. Here's a little inside tip. He goes, I watch your show if I like what's on the thumbnail. If that hooks me in, I'll check and see what you guys are talking about on there. So that's why on today's thumbnail, we put on Aaron Rodgers, we put on Jake Dolegala, the Saskatchewan Roughriders quarterback, and Neon Leon Draisaitl. Because if it's hockey, Thad's going to check in. And the thing is, we already talked hockey here, Thad, and we rated the teams in Canada 1 through 7 how they are. And to be honest, there's a lot of people here, Moose, saying that you're right on, and there are a lot saying that I'm right on. So I guess we'll find out. One thing I do know, nobody's going to go back and look at this once the regular season is over. That's the one thing people forget. No. And also, we have some latecomers here today. Jen at the Four Seasons Sports Palace writes in, she says, have we confirmed that it's his Achilles? Yes, it's been confirmed. We opened the show with it. Aaron Rodgers is done for the year, which it's so sad. I would assume you watched the pregame thing. I mean, we watched the documentary on 9/11. Monday was, of course, the 22-year anniversary of it. I told you flags here in America were at half-mast. I'm sure I would hope that a lot were in Canada. And All of the Jets were on the field, and Aaron Rodgers comes trucking out with the Stars and Stripes banner on his own, which surprised me a little bit. I don't know the guy. I'll say that again about Carlos writing in from Indianapolis. No, I'll say this about Aaron Rodgers. I don't know him. I know a lot of guys that do, and they love him. I'm a little surprised that on opening night, his first start, he would be okay with the whole team going out first and then him coming out last with the flag. I thought it was awesome, but it surprises me. What did you think about that?
Yeah, I thought it was, Aaron embracing the role. He's the face of the franchise now. Even if it's only for a year or 2 or 3 or however long he decides to stay in New York. But I thought it was cool. Their leader with the flag on September the 11th with everything that day means, especially in the United States and in that city. I thought it was really cool. But you're right, like he seemed like a guy who, although likes the spotlight and likes to be thought highly of and talked about and that kind of thing, never really wanted to stand up and puff out his chest and just be, look at me, look at me, look at me. I wasn't sure he was going to be that guy, but he embraced it. I thought it was cool, and it made for a really great moment.
We're going to segue here in a second, but I felt quite excited to learn of Serena and my new podcast, which actually debuts Wednesday, the Cats and Bolts podcast, where we talk Florida NHL hockey split right down the middle, 50% Florida Panthers, 50% Tampa Bay Lightning. And we will both be in Estero, Florida this weekend for the Prospects Tournament with the top rookies and prospects of the Panthers, Lightning, Hurricanes, and Predators. So all podcast platforms will have the Cats and Bolts podcast. Now, Alan in Lampman writes in on the text line, 902-518-3033. Here's our segue between football leagues. Our text lines for EMJ Marketing. They'll provide the proper keynote speaker for your event. Contact Joe at emjmarketing.com. Alan says, good morning, Rod and Moose. Alan from Lampman here. Back on the combine today. I think Zach Wilson did enough yesterday to hold the Jets' job for now. I could see Rod's Cowboys trading Cooper Rush or Trey Lance to the Jets. He says, I wasn't able to watch a lot of football this weekend. Here's the questions I had. Number one, does the turf matter as much as people are making it out to be a problem in terms of the injuries like Rodgers' Achilles? And two, in my opinion, the Rough Riders are Jekyll and Hyde when playing at home versus on the road. What's the scoop here? Better nightlife in other cities in the CFL? Or just the mojo and noise of playing at Mosaic is the difference? Thanks. Look forward to listening live again. I told Serena, I said, Alan and Lampman represents the demographic that I really want. That Sask farmer listening live now, write us, man. Bring it in. Listen live every day. This is what we want. I want everybody watching, as I said to you, Moose, in our morning meeting today and listening. But if we can capture that Sask ag producer, I'd be the happiest guy in the world. Number one, I'm not a doctor, and I don't even pretend to play one on TV, but I do think the grass versus turf argument is way overblown. Did we not do studies? 20 years in the CFL here when they brought in field turf, and we went from the grass to the turf, and then from AstroTurf to field turf. The injuries plummeted. Millions upon millions of dollars was spent for this synthetic surface to nullify injuries, and it worked. So now every time we have an Achilles injury or some serious knee injury, it's like, we got to go back to grass. That's why we went to turf in the first place, And I'll get to the Rough Rider question in a moment because I said we were going to talk about the stretch drive in the CFL. But I think way too much is made about it, but maybe I should shoot a text to my athletic therapy friends, and they would have an answer. What do you think the answer is to that question?
Yeah, they would be the people to talk to and the players for sure. I think, grass is probably still a preferred option to the synthetic turf. I think, the field grass that they have now is still better than the AstroTurf that they brought in, which was new and cool and could be easily drained away of water and snow and all that kind of stuff. But I think one of the arguments I saw on social is soccer is not pretentious, but have higher standards that they won't even play on this. They have to play on grass. Why won't they let the players for football have the same standards to play on grass? I think we have this shift back where we thought Commonwealth Stadium was archaic playing on grass. The only field on grass, my God, they're in the Stone Age. That's what we thought. They didn't have the AstroTurf. you know, and now stadiums are starting to go back and the preferred choice is grass. So, I mean, it's the generation, it's whatever, but I don't think it's a huge problem because these injuries aren't happening every day.
John in Edmonton, it's going to be one of those days. I'll allow one question from John in Edmonton because people have been annoying me overall today. And John seems like the guy could just send me right around the bend to the cuckoo barn. And I don't want that. So he says, should sports teams count tickets scanned rather than tickets bought for attendance? Several months ago, I told you, Darren, I don't care about that anymore. And I still don't care about that anymore. It would be nice if they counted the tickets scanned so we knew what the exact number of people were in the building. That's what we used to do in sports. When I say we, it was when I was drawing a paycheck in the league. I'm not anymore. So it would be nice to know. Like somebody says Edmonton's like second in the league in attendance. I'm like, what? Are you watching the games? So no, I don't even want to talk about. I don't want to talk about it, John, because they lie. Newsflash: teams lie, boys lie. Back on point to the CFL thing with what we expect is going to happen the rest of the way. Just from a Saskatchewan perspective, they got 6 games to go. I got them going 3-3 in this final third. That would put them at 9 wins, and that's good enough for a playoff spot. Whether they make the host a game or not, I don't know. But they're going to win 3, and I think they'll be in the playoffs. This Friday night game, I read the quote from Craig Dickinson, the head coach of Saskatchewan, basically saying if they win this game Friday night against Edmonton, it'll not clinch, but help cement their playoff spot. You look across the CFL in terms of wins, Darren. Toronto, I had it written down here. Toronto's got 10 wins, Montreal 6 out of the East Division, Hamilton 5, Ottawa 3. Like, Ottawa can still finish second and host a game. That's a fact. And in the West, Winnipeg 10 wins, BC 8, Sask 6, Calgary 4, Edmonton 3. How many teams going to miss the playoffs in the West, Darren? 1 or 2 in your mind?
I was just thinking about that, and my first thought was, man, Edmonton can get on a roll, and maybe Saskatchewan, if they get to 9 wins, I'm with you. They'll get in the playoffs with Winnipeg and BC. And Edmonton now will look at Hamilton and Ottawa and maybe try and cross over. That's an option. But I think at the end of the day, I think we're going to see 2 teams in the West miss the playoffs. I think the East, between Montreal, Hamilton, and Ottawa, will get it together, and 2 of those teams will make the playoffs. So I think we'll have a good balance this year, and 2 teams in the West will miss.
Thank you for that. Jay in Winnipeg writes in on the streaming and says, Captain Lowry, your thoughts, RP? My thoughts are we covered it 15 minutes ago. Show up on time. I'm not a jukebox that you plug in a quarter and I'll play the song that you request. Please and thank you.
Spicy.
John in Edmonton says you can't trust everybody. Who can you actually trust? Yeah, that's why people are annoying me, John. I'm asking myself that question. And with the attendance, like, we're so far past what the Florida Panthers attendance was or what the Arizona Coyotes attendance is or just about any Major League Baseball team. Who cares? I don't anymore. Anything else, Moose, before I let you go?
No, just like the last word for me on the attendance thing is I saw it. People were, saying there's no way the Argos had that many people that they reported. But somebody else actually said they're the one team that actually reports scanned tickets versus bought tickets. Look, if you're in the front office and on the business side, you need to report tickets sold. But for the fans and the media and things you publish online, it needs to be tickets scanned. But that's just dreaming, and they're going to do whatever they want to do. So I don't really care.
Who else, what other show talks about these things? And we have talked about it for a long time. I don't want to talk about it anymore. It used to be a lot of fun in the press boxes. They would have the list. Put your name down, guess the attendance. They did it we did it in the Agrodome. They did it at Commonwealth Stadium for years. It was always fun. They don't do it anymore because what they announce is fictional. It's a fairy tale. So why would I even put a toonie down on this to guess what lie they're going to tell? Why would I do that? Might as well just go buy a lottery ticket. And a couple things. This will hold you over till hour 2. Remember these, Darren. Arlen Bruce III writes in, he says, "Great morning, RP and Darren. Is the NFL more like a Netflix series or a soap opera? It's only week 1. And he said, will the Bombers win the Grey Cup this year in Hamilton? Hang on to that because you were talking about that similar earlier in our morning meeting about the drama. And Leanne says, Jets fans officially have more trauma than Riders fans. The firemen must be devastated. We'll talk about that too. But Luke Gazdic next from Maple Leads and Rogers Sportsnet. We'll be right back on Game Plus TV, WQE Radio, podcast, and YouTube Live.
We're all capable of doing more. More speed, more reps, more commitment to getting every detail perfect. And that's why it's important we never miss a donation appointment. Blood and plasma donors are needed every day in Canada to support thousands of patients that rely on Canada's lifeline. We're asking you to join the Hockey Gives Blood Partners for Life team. Join today by downloading the Give Blood app or book online at blood.ca/HGB.
The sports landscape continues to change, and teams and facilities are under more pressure to provide online and in-venue entertainment. They need the right team to deliver their product. Look no further than IKS Live. We provide service across North America and produce the best fan experience across all platforms.
Did you know that you can help save a life? And you can start right now.
Stem cells from male donors increase chances of positive outcomes for patients, yet they only make up 40% of our registry.
Today, there are hundreds of people in Canada searching for their life-saving match.
You can be a patient's best hope. Be a hero by registering with Canadian Blood Services Stem Cell Registry now.
Text 902-518-3033. 902-518-3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902-518-3033.
Here's how your business can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show. All you have to do is contact us, and we will tell you all about the dynamic and exciting marketing opportunities we have, utilizing a fully integrated 360-degree multi-platform. Imagine your business seen and heard across Canada on Game Plus TV and around the world on the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. You will use one of the most overused expressions in sports. You gotta be kidding me. Get your business involved. Contact the Rod Pedersen Show today.
NHL prospects hit the ice this weekend here in South Florida. The Southeast tourney gets going with the Predators, Lightning, Panthers, and Hurricanes rookies Friday night in Estero, Florida at the Hertz Arena. We'll be there. If you are, come on down and say hi. Our hockey coverage is brought to you in part by Common Crown Brewing Company. Head down to the tap room Thursday through Saturday in Calgary, noon to 8 p.m. Check out Common Crown Brewing Company at commoncrown.ca. Luke Gazdic joins us from Maple Leads and Sportsnet.ca. Sportsnet overall, 147 NHL games with the Oilers and the Devils. Toronto kid. Hey, Luke, how excited are you for the start of hockey season, man? I feel like it's been 10 years since hockey.
Yeah, hey Rod, how you doing? I'm pretty excited. I'm fired up to get things going here. I will tell you that I did play in a lot of those prospect tournaments. I was in Traverse City, Michigan with the Dallas Stars for 3 or 4 of those, and then a lot of training camps throughout my career. And it's a lot less stressful on this end now, not being a part of it. So I'm excited to get things going, man. Lots of storylines, and it's exciting.
Okay, well, hang on, because you went there. I was thinking it, so I'm going to ask you. Texas Stars, Austin, Texas, just a jewel of a city. Tell people something that they wouldn't know about Austin, Texas. And I assume you loved it, playing there for so long. What did you love the most? What did you love the most?
Favorite professional hockey stop that I've made, and I think I might have taken it for granted a little bit because it was the first place I went in my whole career. I signed with Dallas, didn't make the team out of main camp. I ended up being in Austin. We were just north of Austin in Cedar Park for 4 years. I was there. Incredible town, live music everywhere, some of the best food you'll eat in all of Texas, and the people were just unbelievable, too. It was just the coolest place to play hockey, very college town, University of Texas Longhorns. It was a really special place. I have some pretty cool memories from there.
Yeah, it is a great town. Thank you for that. So I don't want to put you on the spot, but I think you can handle it. We've had some fun the last couple of days ranking 1 through 7 Canada's NHL teams. Off the top of your head, and I know that you do a lot of analysis, would this be an easy ranking or a hard one for you? Who would you go with?
Ooh, good question. 7, I'll go 7 is probably Montreal. That's the team that sticks out to me the most as having the most work to do. They have some young prospects, but they're still a ways away. Let's move up into 6. 5, 6, I'm going to put Winnipeg and Ottawa. Not sure of that order back to back. I think Calgary is better than both of those. I think then goes Toronto and then Edmonton. I'm not sure if I got all 7 in there. I hope I did. But I think Edmonton is the best Canadian team with Toronto just slightly behind. And for the simple reason of Connor McDavid.
Buddy, I love it. I love it. I love it. You're more like my co-host Darren, who is a Leaf fan, than what mine are. But it's a wrestle for me between the Jets and the Flames, to be honest with you. What tips the scales in your favor that you say the Flames are better than the Jets? Because, you know, their talent's one thing, culture's another, and both have something to prove in that regard.
You know what? And Rod, I could probably go back and forth with those two for the simple reason of I feel like both have lost their way in terms of culture. I'm not sure what's happening, especially in Calgary, in terms of guys not wanting to play there anymore. I always thought that was such a special place in the league and in the NHL. And it's just seeming like the culture's lost a bit where you have these guys who, especially the RFAs coming up and aren't really committing to long-term deals. And I never thought that would be the thing with Calgary, but I love their roster. I think they're pretty deep up front. Jacob Markstrom's an elite goaltender. Winnipeg, the same thing too. If Connor Hellebuyck can kind of come back to form, they will be competitive. They're not the Winnipeg of old where it was big, strong, physical, heavy. They picked up a couple good pieces in that LA trade, I thought, but it's the same thing there with culture. And I'm not sure how many people in Winnipeg, any people playing there want to be there. And it's certainly a concern. I could flip-flop those two, though, Rod. Those are 2 very interesting case studies for me this year because I really am curious to see how things are going to play out. I think they both need big starts.
Well, they do. And I just think Winnipeg's a year ahead in fixing the culture because Rick Bowness has been there for a year already. In Calgary, they're going to try something new under Ryan Husky, whom I believe in. But I want to ask you this, as a former NHL player, I hear this a lot in the markets. in some cases from NHL staff that it's taxes in Canada that players don't want to play in Canada, and also Calgary's arena. Is there a buzz among the players, or is that just an excuse?
I mean, guys will look for excuses, but it's that combination, that deadly combination of three, right? The taxes, the weather, and the arena. Because if you go to pretty much any facility in the league now, you look at Edmonton, you look at Little Caesars in Detroit, and these brand new arenas, it's tough as a player to look at one of those and look at the 10,000 square foot gym they have at Rogers Arena in Edmonton, and then go to Calgary at the Dome and see kind of the situation they have there. But at the end of the day, it's playing hockey and where you have the best opportunity to play as a player. And I don't know, this culture has kind of turned into this pick and choose, and I want to play here and I want to play here. You look at Pierre-Luc Dubois finally getting settled at his third team. He finally gets to play in the place he wants to play. And I just never understood that as a player. I always thought, like I said before, I hold Calgary in high regard. I think the Dome is one of the coolest buildings in the league. It might be a little old, but it's still pretty unique. People of Calgary are awesome. You're right by the mountains, and hey, it's winter in Canada. It's going to be cold. The warm weather climate I didn't really like, to be honest. I like that hockey season in the winter. So I hope more guys turn around, because there's starting to be little scuttlebutts like that about people not wanting to come play north of the border.
Yeah, well, listen, look, I get it, and I don't know you well, Luke, but you seem like a bit of an old-school kind of guy, and the new breed of players, they've gotten what they've wanted their whole life, so now they just want to pick where they're going to play, and it doesn't always work that way, but that's the way the players are now. Now, you're a Toronto kid. Does that, by proxy, make you a Leaf fan? Like, is that the team you cheer for the most? I feel like it is. Am I right in saying that?
Oh, 100%. That was, for me growing up, I took the subway down to Maple Leaf Gardens and watched a bunch of games when I was a kid. And then the early 2000s Leaf teams, especially in 2004 when they made the run to the Western Conference or Eastern Conference Finals, with Gary Roberts and Brian McCabe and Captain Matt Sundin. Those were my Leaf teams I watched. So as I began playing pro, I think I lost a bit of that. But now being back in the city and living here full time, I'm kind of starting to feel it a bit more.
Well, we have a minute. I'll just say this. You guys all think the Leafs are it's your year. But now everybody thinks it's the Leafs' year. Not just Leaf fans. Everybody thinks this is the year. At least that's the sense I get. How will that affect this locker room and this team? That's even more pressure than they're used to. That's how I feel, or what I feel.
Yeah, we'll have to put a lot of pressure on the players here in Toronto. But truthfully, this is one of the best rosters I've seen them have top to bottom. They're a little thin on the back end still, and Ilya Samsonov to me is still fairly unproven. He had a decent year last year, but they're not going to have trouble scoring goals. They're not going to have trouble getting on the power play and scoring goals. It's a really good team on paper, but they're going to have to show me something here first. And I think they're going to have to show some fans here first that they're going to play the right way. And definitely high hopes. I'm sure the locker room will say they don't hear that and they don't hear all that outside noise. But I know the players, and they're going to feel some pressure too. That's definitely for sure.
Can't wait to get it going. Luke, thanks for this, man. Mitts Off, that's where people can find you now?
Yeah, 7 episodes into my podcast, Mitts Off with Luke Gazdic. And, of course, you'll see me on Sportsnet on Hockey Central as the season begins.
Break a leg, buddy. Thanks for coming on.
Thanks, Rod.
NHL analyst Luke Gazdic. We'll be right back with an audience takeover and a sports update. We're live on Game Plus Television, WQEE Radio, podcast, and YouTube Live.
The sports landscape continues to change, and teams and facilities are under more pressure to provide online and in-venue entertainment. They need the right team to deliver their product. Look no further than IKS Live. We provide service across North America and produce the best fan experience across all platforms.
I'm Bridget Lacquette. I'm a First Nation Olympic silver medalist, and I'm proud to represent Indigenous hockey players across Canada. Each year, hundreds of Canadians need a stem cell transplant from an unrelated donor to save their life. Anyone can have a hard time finding a stem cell match, but for Indigenous peoples, it can be even more difficult because just over 1% of prospective donors on Canada's stem cell registry are of Indigenous backgrounds. Be a hero. Join me in Hockey Gives Blood in helping to make a life-saving difference to those in need. Register today at blood.ca/beahero.
Hey Rod Squad, now you can join the team with your very own RP Show gear. Head to rodpetersonshop.com and get yours today while supplies last. It's just like we wear on the show, official RP Show gear at rodpetersonshop.com.
Does this look familiar? Your fans deserve an incredible arena experience. It's time for an upgrade. Stunning graphics. Revenue opportunities are just the beginning with our in-venue display systems and scoring technology. Let us help you find the best solution for your facility. EDG, always delivering the best fan experience.
We're all capable of doing more. More speed, more reps, more commitment to getting every detail perfect. And that's why it's important we never miss a donation appointment. Blood and plasma donors are needed every day in Canada to support thousands of patients that rely on Canada's lifeline. We're asking you to join the Hockey Gives Blood Partners for Life team. Join today by downloading the Give Blood app or book online at blood.ca/HGB.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Last segment of hour one right here. Going to get to audience takeover and a sports update. And then the next hour, we'll bring the Moose back in. We got a lot of things to get to. Hope you're enjoying the show as much as we are. Hope you're enjoying the new CFL football on the set. I like two things. People have said, Rod, you're the USA ambassador for the CFL. And some said the Pat McAfee of the CFL. I said, as long as I can live in Florida, I'll take both. Call me whatever you want. And I appreciate those rallying to answer our questions here. For one, people said grass versus turf, Aaron Rodgers' Achilles. Is too much being made of this. Norm Fong watches every day. Hall of Fame equipment manager of the Saskatchewan Roughriders. Fongo writes in and says, Rod, a frozen grass field is much more dangerous than a frozen turf field. So there you go. How about that? EMJ Marketing text line 902-518-3033. He's saying grass is worse in frozen conditions. I was always led to believe that the new field turf, there's nothing better than what they would have at MetLife Stadium. Don't blame the playing surface for what happened to Aaron Rodgers last night. Regarding what's going to happen in the final third of the Canadian Football League regular season, Larry Sweet's watching in South Carolina. He writes in, says, Rod, one factor to look at. Once the Bombers and Argos clinch their divisions, a number of starters will not be playing. This could help the teams on the bubble for the playoffs if playing either the Bombers or Argos. Trust me, I thought about that. And Sask's last game is versus Toronto in Sask. I thought about it, Larry. I did. I still think Sask goes 3-3 the rest of the way. That would put them at 9-9, and they would qualify for the playoffs under that. I haven't looked at all the other schedules, but consider this. It's not a gimme that it's a throwaway game for teams that have clinched already. The opposition is going to be motivated, but your backups on the Argos and Bombers are going to want to prove that they're not pushovers. This is their chance. We've been in these situations before on both sides, and I've seen the team that's supposed to lose win. I factored it in. And that's what I think is going to happen. I appreciate, for sure, you chiming in. The breaking news from this Tuesday, center Adam Lowry was named the Winnipeg Jets' new captain today. He's the third Jets captain since the team moved from Atlanta to Winnipeg in 2011. He follows Andrew Ladd and Blake Wheeler, who served as captain for 5 and 6 years, respectively. The 30-year-old was an alternate captain for the first time last season, along with Josh Morrissey and Mark Scheifele. The Jets didn't have a captain last season as head coach Rick Bowness and his staff wanted more voices in the dressing room. They've gone with Adam Lowry as their coach, and I love it. Mature young man, everything I believe you want your captain to be. From New York, Aaron Rodgers has a torn left Achilles tendon, according to a source, and will miss the rest of the New York Jets season. An MRI this morning confirmed the 4-time NFL MVP's injury. Coach Robert Saleh was scheduled to speak to reporters on a video call later today. This sports update brought to you by Common Crown Brewing. They have the perfect craft beer for your enjoyment, featuring their Core 5, Good Company Hazy Pale Ale, Common Crown Crafted Lager, Journeyman IPA, Brewmaster Blonde Ale, and Cooper Smith Brown Ale, 4 of which sit below 5% ABV, making them the ideal beer for your everyday common affair. Back to the EMJ text line, some quick ones before we roll. Jim Wagner writing in from Balgoni. He says, it's not a beautiful day in the neighborhood for Mr. Rogers. No one wanted to see that. Unfortunately, it's next man up. Enjoy the day, all. From Kirk in Toronto, he says, BMO Field is the only grass field in the CFL. Season ticket holder since the Argos moved there in 2016, and to my knowledge, there have been no serious injuries due to the playing surface. And there's more, but we'll get to that next hour. Moose will rejoin us. Mike Wilner will join us from the Deep Left Field Jays podcast. We'll be right back after this brief pause on Game Plus and WQEE Radio.
We're all capable of doing more. More speed, more reps, more commitment to getting every detail perfect. And that's why it's important we never miss a donation appointment. Blood and plasma donors are needed every day in Canada to support thousands of patients that rely on Canada's lifeline. We're asking you to join the Hockey Gives Blood Partners for Life team. Join today by downloading the Give Blood app or book online at blood.ca/HGB.
The sports landscape continues to change, and teams and facilities are under more pressure to provide online and in-venue entertainment. They need the right team to deliver their product. Look no further than IKS Live. We provide service across North America and produce the best fan experience across all platforms.
Text 902-518-3033. 902-518-3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902-518-3033.
Does this look familiar? Your fans deserve an incredible arena experience. It's time for an upgrade. Stunning graphics. Revenue opportunities are just the beginning with our in-venue display systems and scoring technology. Let us help you find the best solution for your facility. DDG, always delivering the best fan experience.
Nestled in the scenic Qu'Appelle Valley, just 20 minutes northwest of Regina, is one of the finest golf courses in all of Saskatchewan, the Deer Valley Golf Club. The clubhouse has a full-service restaurant, and customers can enjoy a casual dining experience with spectacular views of the golf course and valley. A fully stocked golf shop, staffed by PGA of Canada professionals, is equipped to meet all of your golf apparel and equipment needs. Book your tee time, family event, or corporate tournament today at the Deer Valley Golf Club. Call 306-731-1445.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Roads I didn't expect to go down today, Alex, for 100. Ding! Jeff Fairholm, my favorite Rough Rider ever, he was on John Heward's staff. He said to one of the reporters, I think it was Perry Lefko, he's like, hey, would you interview me, Perry? And Perry goes, no, I can't, because if I interview you, you'll be fired. John Heward said so. Jeff goes, yeah, so interview me. I want out of here. And I think that's exactly what happened.
This is the Rod Pedersen Show.
Yes, it is. And it's hour 2 of, I'll tell you what, you're very quickly realizing it's your favorite daytime sports talk show. And in Canada, we're the only daytime sports talk show. So that's an easy distinction. We're one of a million in America, but pretty soon you'll find that we are the best and your favorite. I'm in South Florida. Darren Moose DuPont is in Toronto, Ontario, Canada, and he joins us here for hour 2. Hey, Moose, you, I'm sure, didn't forget those topics I wanted to bring up with you. One was the live drama of the NFL. And what was the other one? Do you remember? Did you write it down?
No, I was stuck on live drama. The live drama of the NFL is the big one. That was the first one you mentioned, and that's the one I was remembering in my head.
Okay, I think the other one was CFL related, but that's the live drama for those that are just tuning in. What's great about daytime live television is we have breaking news. It was revealed this morning, Aaron Rodgers' season is over. It's a torn left Achilles tendon suffered on Monday Night Football. Not only suffered on Monday Night Football, 4 snaps into Monday Night Football. But his New York Jets rallied on the arm of Zach Willis and the legs of the rookie, was it Xavier Gibkins, returned a punt return in overtime for the win, and the Jets beat the Buffalo Bills in an upset. So that's the breaking news today. The poll question today for Key Auto Group, might as well throw that out there right now, is who should the Jets turn to with Aaron Rodgers out? Our poll question is brought to you daily by our friends at Key Auto Group. At the Key Auto Group, you can buy with confidence knowing that they provide reports on all vehicles they sell. Get fully informed about your next vehicle by going to keyautogroup.ca. Our options are Tom Brady, Zach Wilson, the incumbent, Nathan Rourke, via trade or snatching him off the Jaguars practice roster, or other. You may or may not be surprised to learn that as this is a Canadian-anchored show and produced show, the Canadian is leading the poll, Nathan Rourke. I've said Zach Wilson. Dance with the one that brought you. What did you vote for, Zach Wilson? I can't remember. I get everybody's opinion in my head.
I did. They're going to roll with Zach Wilson. That's my thought.
Okay, and speaking of automobiles, if I may, what sets this show apart is we don't just sit and talk sports, but like all the other million shows on TV, radio, and podcast. I wanted to tell you something. You know a little bit about vehicles. As a matter of fact, I think you know a lot more about vehicles than I do. But I didn't tell you, every morning I've had a tough time getting my Jeep going down here, and it's becoming a bit of a pain in the butt. And Serena's like, get rid of it. It's a POS. And I'm like, no, I can't. I love it. I can't. I'll put as much money into this thing as I have to. Goldie, I love it. A 2004 Jeep Wrangler. So what it is, Darren, you can give me your assessment. I talked to my sponsor this morning, Bob. He gave me his. I'll sit there and just for like a half an hour. And eventually, and then it's running like a Ferrari. But like every morning, that happens. And I understand. The older you get, it takes us a while to get going. I get that. vehicles, bodies, whatever. But I did roll by my mechanic, my new guy, Mike, and he's cool, man. I love him. And he gave me his assessment. But what would you say that was?
Oh, I mean, you talked about the battery problems in the heat, so I would start with the battery problems.
Yeah.
And
I fixed that.
Connection.
That was the problem. That was the problem, but I fixed that. Now it's something else.
Yeah, because I would have thought the connectors maybe were a little rusted or corroding. Maybe it's in the starter. Not getting enough fuel, the fuel injector. That would be my guess. But I don't know much about cars. Like, Jordan's sitting back there at the control because he's the real car guy. And watching you and I diagnose this, right? Yeah. That's exactly what's happening right now.
He's fidgety. He just wants to jump on the air and tell us. Yeah.
Right. But the way it works for guys that aren't really car guys is like you're like, and you're like, okay, I'm going to take this. I got to take this in. Then it gets going again and it rides nice. And you're like, guess I don't need to take it in again till the next time it doesn't start.
Well, it's literally, I counted it today, 2.5 blocks from my house. So it's not that far. Mike, he doesn't do house calls. He doesn't do them. So if I was to take the Jeep down, I'd have to tow it 2.5 blocks. But anyways, he just says it's taken a lot to get your gas from the gas tank to the engine for whatever reason. And he goes, do you park on an incline? I said, sometimes. He goes, well, that's might be it. So he says, bring it in in a couple days, leave it overnight. I'll have it fixed for you by the next morning. He's the best guy. So, but this Goldie, it's just a beautiful Jeep, man. I regularly get told this is the coolest Jeep in South Florida. I'm not getting rid of it. If I got to push the damn thing, I will keep it. So pretty soon I'll have spent more money in repairs than I paid for the thing, but it's worth it. Anyways, Luke Gazdic was with us last hour from Mitts Off Podcast and Rogers Sportsnet. I asked him his top Canadian teams, ranking them 1 through 7. They were pretty much identical to yours. But it's funny, Barry is watching in Powell River, BC on Game Plus television. He writes in and he says, ask Luke where he puts the Canucks. Because guess what? He didn't even put the Canucks in his ranking. Do you not feel like that might be your answer?
He's not thinking about you. He's thinking of you. Know what I mean? That's kind of like, if he didn't put you in the rankings, then, geez, how bad is it in Vancouver, right? He wasn't even thinking.
There's your answer. So I'm sorry. I didn't see the text until after the interview with Luke Gazdic. And by the way, I should mention coming up later on this hour, Mike Wilner will be with us from the Deep Left Field podcast. Talks Blue Jays baseball there. Blue Jays columnist. They are home tonight to the Texas Rangers after losing 10-4 last night in the opener of a critical 4-game series at Rogers Center. So, and the other thing, the breaking news today is Adam Lowry's been named the 3rd captain of the Winnipeg Jets 2.0 franchise. Adam Lowry. It's getting the approved check mark from me. And BW writes in from Edmonton and says, Goldie is paid for. Yeah, buddy. That helps. Shit, that's the thing. She's like, take that thing, get rid of it, and let's go buy it. If you want a Jeep that bad, let's go get a new Jeep. And I said, I'm not exactly in position right now to purchase a new vehicle. Not financially, just, you know what I mean? I'm getting there. But let's get this Jeep fixed. Kevin the Medium writes in and says, as your resident car guru, I am guaranteeing it is your foo-foo valve. Is that a joke? What's a foo-foo valve?
How about that?
Yeah.
No.
Jordan, is there such a thing as a foo-foo valve?
Oh, no.
Sounds offensive to me. Leanne in Regina says, you guys should do the my car makes this noise commercials. Great imitations. Randy from Winnipeg says, plug it in, Rod. Just so you know, it doesn't have a block heater. Jen from the Four Seasons says, battery issues? Does it have a command start? I'm assuming not in Florida. That reminds me, Wendell Clark told me when he got a free truck from Lakeland Ford in Prince Albert when he was playing for the Leafs, he either got traded to Tampa or signed as a free agent in the offseason. I can't remember. Actually, he came from Quebec, I think, to Tampa. He had a remote start in his Lakeland Ford. I'll never forget it. It was 1994 green Ford Ranger. How do I remember these things?
Well, you know what?
And
when it comes to the command
I'm just saying.
Okay.
We were at Craven one time talking about this, and he said that the command start came in real handy in Tampa Bay. He goes, in Canada, I use it for the heat. In Tampa, I use it for the air conditioning. You were saying.
That's what I learned going down to visit you in Florida. You know, I would have thought just like, you know, our northern viewers. I guess you don't have command start down there, just like you don't have a block heater. No, you got command start. It's to get the AC fired up so you don't burn your ass on the black leather seats in the middle of a 95-degree day.
Problem is with a topless Jeep, air conditioning don't come in too handy. Carlos in Indianapolis says, you never know what comes up over the course of each show. LOL. Yeah, my Jeep problems. Phil Kershaw is watching in Maple Ridge, BC. He says, I'm a big Nathan Rourke supporter, but I predict the Jets will sign a free agent like Carson Wentz, who's a proven starter, top draft pick to back up Zach Wilson. Which reminds me, by the way, and we do have some comments have come in here about the captaincy of the Jets and Adam Lowry. But I just want to say this thing about Curtis Rourke the other day, the 6'5" quarterback, because we blazed past that real fast. I'm fairly new to watching big-time college football, Division I football, on a week-in, week-out basis. But I will say this about Curtis Rourke, and a little bit his brother Nathan. They don't seem like the most gregarious guys in the world. Do you know what I mean? Like, not going to be cracking a lot of jokes. And maybe that's why it's the oddest thing, because I was always voted to be the captain of my team, but because I didn't want to be. I'm like, I'm the goalie. I can't be. There's a rule against that. Don't want to. Your captain, I guess that could foray into the Adam Lowry thing, isn't really the most fun guy. I look at Captain Sirius, Jonathan Taves, Steve Yzerman. Probably go down in history as one of the greatest captains of all time, but would 111 Eastern, by the way. You know, what do you want as the captain? Because I've seen all kinds, but mostly it's that guy that will burn a hole in your soul with his eyes and that you don't want to piss off or be late for practice or screw up on the ice or the field. Do you know what I mean? Who's the ideal captain for you?
Yeah, I think those traits are really important. Somebody who makes everybody, you know, want to be better and want to follow your example. I think that's really important. Some captains are quiet and lead by example. Some talk. Some are the big motivational guys. But for me in this situation, here's what I think is the coolest thing about Adam Lowry. When you were ripping off his stats and his whole deal, you said something that jumped out at me. I'm like, that's why the guy's the captain. You said his entire career in Winnipeg. And in Winnipeg, yes, you're looking at a town that's been dragged through the mud. People don't want to go there. You know, oh, it's all right. It's a nice, but, you know, it's good enough, you know, and nobody really dreams of spending your whole professional hockey career in Winnipeg, Manitoba. But he is, and he's doing it, and he's bought in and wants to be there. And to me, that's a sign of a good captain, somebody who embodies what the organization's all about and bleeds the colors of the team, and Adam Lowry seems to do that.
Well, then and I could not agree more. That is a fantastic observation by you. I can't remember which one of the players they got from LA in the PLD trade. I think it was, does Velarde sound right, Clark? Velarde? Gabe Velarde. One of the two, one of those two Italians, Iafallo, Velarde, one of them showed up in Winnipeg last week and talked to the media. What do you think of Winnipeg? It's not that bad. It's actually not that bad. Bob Irving went nuts on Twitter. The Hall of Fame voice of the... What do you mean not that bad? Bob, it's what people think. And trust me, I've been in those shoes, i.e., remember Will Blackman, NFL Network, former, I think, Raiders defensive back. We know him from the NFL Network. Or maybe Packers DB, whatever. We had him in Sask back in the day when Jones was running the show. And same thing. He showed up. What do you think of Regina? Well, just like Texas, smells like manure.
How about that?
Well, we're all pissed off. Truth hurts, bro. I stepped off the plane in Austin, Texas. That's why I asked Luke last hour about what it was his memories of playing for the Texas Stars in Austin, Texas, because it's exactly the same as Saskatchewan. That little corridor between Austin and San Antonio is exactly like coming out of Swift Current. Smells the same too. Manure, smell of money, some will say.
Yeah.
So, anyways, again, wonderful observation by you. Like Steve Eisenman, back when I collected hockey cards, I always thought it was awesome to look down the back of his card, Detroit, 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 you know, and similar to why there's no real icons in sports anymore and won't be, because it's rare. Again, Saskatchewan Rough Rider history guy here. Don Narcisse, Saskatchewan, 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 Saskatchewan. Bobby Jurison, Roger Aldick. You don't have any of those anymore. That's just the way that it is. So when you got a guy, Darren just said it, like Lowry, that wants to stay there forever, is committed, he's the perfect captain. And speaking of looking at the back of hockey cards, I should mention this before we break. Collectors, register for the Premier Sports Card Convention, where collectors, enthusiasts, and sports lovers unite to celebrate the beauty and value of their treasured items. Taking place in Red Deer, Alberta, in the Parkland Pavilion, September 29th, 30th, and October 1st. Get your tickets and more information at premiersportscardcon.ca. We'll be back with more in a moment. We're live on the Game Plus Television Network. It is the RP Show, also WQEE Radio, podcast, and YouTube Live.
The sports landscape continues to change, and teams and facilities are under more pressure to provide online and in-venue entertainment. They need the right team to deliver their product. Look no further than IKS Live. We provide service across North America and produce the best fan experience across all platforms.
Text 902-518-3033. 902-518-3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902-518-3033.
2 million liters of power creates electricity. Electricity creates.
Casino. Nestled in the scenic Qu'Appelle Valley, just 20 minutes northwest of Regina, is one of the finest golf courses in all of Saskatchewan, the Deer Valley Golf Club. The clubhouse has a full-service restaurant, and customers can enjoy a casual dining experience with spectacular views of the golf course and valley. A fully stocked golf shop, staffed by PGA of Canada professionals, is equipped to meet all of your golf apparel and equipment needs. Book your tee time, family event, or corporate tournament today at the Deer Valley Golf Club. Call 306-731-1445.
Does this look familiar? Your fans deserve an incredible arena experience. It's time for an upgrade. Stunning graphics. Revenue opportunities are just the beginning with our in-venue display systems and scoring technology. Let us help you find the best solution for your facility. EDG, always delivering the best fan experience.
Here's how your business can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show. All you have to do is contact us, and we will tell you all about the dynamic and exciting marketing opportunities we have, utilizing a fully integrated 360-degree multi-platform. Imagine your business seen and heard across Canada on Game Plus TV and around the world on the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. You will use one of the most overused expressions in sports. You gotta be kidding me. Get your business involved. Contact the Rod Pedersen Show today.
We back. Game Plus Television and Key Radio. Hey, Atlanta, did you hear the cue? As we can bring the Moose back in. I said I was going to mention him in the hockey update. Winnipeg Jets naming Adam Lowry their third captain since the team showed up in Winnipeg from Atlanta. The others being Andrew Ladd and the recently deposed Blake Wheeler. Regarding the smell of some cities. Allie in Texas writes in, Texarkana. She says, y'all are too much. You don't even notice it when you live here. LOL. Do I need to bring up Brooks, Alberta? Renowned for the smell of that cattle stockyard on the way through on the Trans-Canada Highway. Renowned. So it's that smell times 1,000 when you're driving through Brooks, Alberta. But you're right. When you're raised around it, you don't really think about it. But when you get plopped in the middle of it, whoo, you can't smell anything but. Yeah. Anything on your mind, Moose, before we move on?
That's the same. You can't fall asleep on that Trans-Canada Highway going to Calgary. If you do, we're in Brooks already? You know, it's like smelling salts when you're on the road. Second, it was the same in Wynyard with the chicken barns, right? I mean, it was like people came into town from out of town, like, I'm like, oh, it's Tuesday. Yeah, of course, the chicken barns, right? You smell it coming in every 2 days a week.
My mom's very best friend from childhood runs that stockyard with her husband. I don't remember his name. I think it's Garnet, but Faye is my mom's best friend. Faye Altwasser from Yellowgrass, Saskatchewan. Anyways, Brett Taylor writes in regarding Monday Night Football and the huge upset. It was an upset in overtime last night, a walk-off win by the Jets in overtime, 22-16, a game in which Aaron Rodgers blew out his Achilles tendon on the fourth snap. Brett Taylor writes in and says, Zach Wilson played them to a win against a team they had no business beating, so I would let him play going forward. That's our poll question today. Who would you pick if you were the Jets? Who should the Jets go after? Nathan Rourke, Zach Wilson, Tom Brady, or other? And we should spend a minute talking about Tom. But I'll say this. When you say no business beating, I don't agree. Both Darren and I picked them to win. 60% of our poll respondents yesterday picked the Jets to win, and that was with Aaron Rodgers. Without him, they still beat the Buffalo Bills last night. Where are you on the argument that Josh Allen's going, it was on me? He threw 3 interceptions for the Bills and fumbled once, 4 turnovers on him, and they say we gave it away. Did the Jets win it or did the Bills lose it? Is that a fair football argument in your mind?
I think it is. I think the Bills are as much to blame for the result of this as the Jets winning it. Their defense played well, as much as the Bills gave it away too. We both took the Jets. I think I would have taken the Bills if I had known Aaron Rodgers wasn't going to play. But that's how close these teams are. Zach Wilson did enough, and we'll see where it goes from here. But I was flipping between the channels, and on Good Morning Football on the NFL Network, Kyle Brandt had a really good point when it comes to Josh Allen. It's really great that he stands there and takes the blame and shoulders that. That's really awesome. But the issue is he's had to do it way too many times lately. You know, he's constantly he's making mistakes. He led the league in turnovers last year. He seems to be at or near the top of the league when it comes to turnovers every year, and we all talk about how great he is and how he's reignited and transformed his Bills team. But these kind of games are popping up more and more, which is concerning for Bills fans.
Well, okay. So, man, this is exactly what I wanted today. Daytime sports talk, The View for sports fans, because I'm pretty sure Whoopi ain't talking about this kind of stuff. Leanne writes in and she says, when did Darian pop his Achilles tendon? Early in the season, I think. So for all of our new viewers, she's referring to Darian Durant. I was the voice of the Saskatchewan Roughriders for 20 years, so it was the 2015 season. So just remember this, because you and I were having this talk before we went to air way back over an hour ago, and I said, let's talk about this on the air. You said guys that came and stayed in that town after their career ended, right? So we'll get to that?
Well, yeah. Well,
no, hang on. I'm not done. I'm not done.
Yeah,
it was hang on. It was 2015, Game 1, first half, Canadian Football League season. Darian Durant not even touched. Our star quarterback, Hall of Fame quarterback, went down with an Achilles injury. I remember leaving the stadium, driving a bunch of people who had been drinking all game. Clearly I wasn't. I was the voice of the team. I was so mad as the voice of the team. Did I ever tell you this story? My hands were indenting the steering wheel of the vehicle because I knew the season was over. And it was. And somebody from the back's like, Rod, how come you're so upset? Rod, cheer up. I'm like, the season is over. And tomorrow when you sober up, you'll realize it. And they went through, we got Kevin Glenn, we got all these other guys. The season was over. And I don't know whether it is for the New York Jets or not. Now, you're going to say, sorry.
No, in that situation, a guy who's a big part of that team, I was going to ask, what happens to Aaron Rodgers now, right? Does he stay in New York? Does he stay with the team? Because on Hard Knocks, he was starting to build a really good relationship with Zach Wilson. They're joking around, and then he's saying, Zach, come here. You got to see this on that play, and you need to do this and this. And he was starting to embrace being a mentor, all the things we thought he wasn't with Jordan Love. And it made me want to ask you, in all your time, Darian's a great example of that time. Those guys who are from the States, but big parts of these teams. When an injury happens early in the year, do they leave, go back to California or wherever and never come back for the rest of the year? Or do they stay and be around the guys beyond the sidelines, beyond the planes, that kind of thing? Have you seen both sides of that? And what's Aaron going to do?
So you're saying just for this season, not post-career?
Yeah.
Is that what you're saying?
That's right.
Season. I expect Aaron Rodgers will be around all season. Once this season's up, does he want at 39, going to be 40 to rehab that Achilles and come back next season, or just say, I'm done? It's a case-by-case situation. For a lot of reasons. He's, number one, what do they say? He's a coach on the field. He's been a coach on the field. That's what Robert Saleh was saying, right? All through training camp. We saw it in Hard Knocks. 2, I think he might want to be a coach when this is all done. So he's going to want to be around the team. And 3, I've seen it so much with players. The physical effects of an injury are one thing. The mental effects are something totally different, man. And I do a little bit of that in terms of mental health recovery work with athletes, because you get treated like you don't matter, because guess what? You don't. If you can't help this outfit, you're useless to us. Period. How do you think that feels? And not, just a very small amount of people have gone through that. So do you think Aaron Rodgers wants to come to the facility, get rehab, and go home and not be around the team? Does he seem like that kind of guy? I don't think so.
Yeah, I'm with you on that, and it's a great point. How many players that get hurt are guys that the coaches, are going to lean on, to teach and to be a mentor and all that? Most guys won't, right? They're not in that type of role. And so I get it, like the mental side of it. You just want to leave. And your doctor's in California, and your therapist, physiotherapist, and whatever is in Florida. And that's where you're going to spend your time recovering. But it'll be interesting. I like the idea of Aaron Rodgers sticking around New York.
That's my sense. We'll find out, right? Dan in Saskatoon writes in, he says, A-Rod, Aaron Rodgers, bought a huge mansion in New Jersey before the season. He'll just make more appearances on McAfee's show. Well, let's just remember that was before he tore his Achilles. So, yeah. But where else is he going to go? Like, again, I wish they'd aired the full interview with John McEnroe on the pregame show yesterday on ESPN. There was a snippet of it again. I really, really enjoyed it for a myriad of reasons. But, you know, they talked about the pressure again. And McEnroe, again, did you see the interview yesterday? Am I talking about something you've seen, or did you not see this where they talked about the pressure of Green Bay versus New York? Did you see it? Because if you didn't, that's fine. I just want to know if you did. You did? Yeah. So he's like, I went from being a huge fish in a tiny little goldfish bowl in Green Bay to major city pressure. I think I can handle it just fine. He certainly didn't seem worried. So when you asked me this morning, I thought you meant what was he going to do post-career? Where is he going to end up? And because gosh only knows that everybody's different. You asked me my history in pro football. In Saskatchewan, Americans that stayed there post-career was because they wanted to make something of their name or get a job. And they told me, I go back home in America, I'm just another guy. I'm a nobody. Here I'm somebody. Some guys like that. Some don't. Because Brett Favre doesn't live in Green Bay. Not a lot of guys live in Green Bay post-career. I've never been. But if you look it up, the population's, from what I've read, 100,000. I've had friends that have gone, media, some football guys. They say it looks like Moose Jaw. And you know that I love Moose Jaw, but you also know I'm not living there. So what do you think it's like if Aaron Rodgers walks into Deja Vu Chicken Wings in Green Bay? Huh? Everybody's looking at him. It can be a little unnerving. And Tom Brady is a great example. People are writing in saying, what's Tom going to do? Maybe the Jets will sign Tom. Even you said Tom's hinting to that. Have you noticed that Tom is all over the place, not really settled down anywhere? He built a $30 million house here in Indian Creek in South Florida, but he was in New England on the weekend. He was over in Vegas in the tunnel at the Raiders game. Tom doesn't know what to do or where to go. Just so you know, I've been there. You're used to living one way for a very, very, very long time. When it ends, you're a little lost until you find somewhere that feels good and feels like home, and that's where you settle. Do you feel like Tom is in that? Because that's what I see.
Wow. You know, it's such a cool perspective, and it makes a lot of sense. I see that too. And sometimes if you don't find that place, that next place where you feel comfortable and ready to lay some roots and you know, then a lot of people, I think, default back to what was comfortable, and they go back into the old habits, a.k.a. coming out of retirement and going back to football because that's the last place you felt comfortable. Tom doesn't look like he's found his next thing, right? So he hasn't found his South Florida or his place that he's happy. Be curious to see what he finds first. That place where he wants to settle and happy and gets maybe to next football season where he gets into the booth? Or does he go back to playing again? I don't know. It's a great point.
I was saying to Serena on the couch last night, we were watching the pregame, and I said, I bet Tom wishes he was doing color this year. I totally get it. He was probably advised when he retired in the offseason to take a year off, take 18 months off. He didn't need 18 months. He probably only needed a couple, and now he seems completely lost. And by the way, here's a funny one. Kurt in Saskatoon writes in on the EMJ marketing text line. He says, hey, guys, as a Rider season ticket holder in Saskatoon, we can smell Regina starting in Chamberlain. Go Riders. Here's an interesting thing. That's funny. Lived it my whole life, but now I'm living just north of Miami. You don't hear anybody talk noise about Tampa Bay. And I've spent a lot of time in Tampa. Nobody talks noise about Miami. And this that whole Regina Saskatoon thing, which I was part of and then not part of. And then it reminds me of when I went to go speak in Rollo at the Hockey and Hearts banquet with Keith Ollie and Eberle and these guys. And they're taking shots at me, the Rollo people being from Milestone. I'm like, do you guys understand? We're 12 miles apart. We're the same people. Nah, they ain't never going to get it. They ain't never going to get it. All right, Moose. Great job. We'll see you later.
Thank you.
We're going to talk a little Blue Jays baseball with Mike Wilner when we come back. We're live on the Game Plus television network. We're also on the radio in Atlanta, WQEE Live. So you Braves fans, if you have any questions, fire them in now. We're also on podcast and YouTube Live.
Text 902-518-3033. 902-518-3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902-518-3033.
Did you know that you can help save a life? And you can start right now.
Stem cells from male donors increase chances of positive outcomes for patients, yet they only make up 40% of our registry.
Today, there are hundreds of people in Canada searching for their life-saving match.
You can be a patient's best hope. Be a hero by registering with Canadian Blood Services Stem Cell Registry now.
Does this look familiar? Your fans deserve an incredible arena experience. It's time for an upgrade. Stunning graphics. Revenue opportunities are just the beginning with our in-venue display systems and scoring technology. Let us help you find the best solution for your facility. EDG, always delivering the best fan experience.
I'm Bridget Lacquette. I'm a First Nation Olympic silver medalist, and I'm proud to represent Indigenous hockey players across Canada. Each year, hundreds of Canadians need a stem cell transplant from an unrelated donor to save their life. Anyone can have a hard time finding a stem cell match, but for Indigenous peoples, it can be even more difficult because just over 1% of prospective donors on Canada's stem cell registry are of Indigenous backgrounds. Be a hero. Join me in Hockey Gives Blood in helping to make a life-saving difference to those in need. Register today at blood.ca/beahero.
Hi, my name is Logan Stankoven. And I'm Connor Bedard. We're both Hockey Gives Blood player ambassadors and proud to be blood donors. There are thousands of patients each year in Canada that rely on a generous stranger to save their life. Please book an appointment today to donate blood at blood.ca/HGB.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
RP Show continues, and to baseball, Jonah Heim hit his third career grand slam. Evan Carter launched his first Major League home run, and the Texas Rangers beat the Blue Jays 10-4 Monday night in the opener of a four-game series that could help decide the American League wild card race. Texas closed within a half game of Toronto. In the wild card standings, Chris Bassett allowed 5 runs and 9 hits in 5 1/3 innings. They'll do it again tonight at Rogers Center. You all know Mike Wilner talks Blue Jays on the Deep Left Field podcast. Blue Jays columnist as well. Mike, welcome back. I got to tell you, man, The Bluebirds are not doing this the easy way, are they, here in this second half of the MLB schedule?
Yeah, nobody ever does it the easy way, do they? I mean, it really is amazing. In May, I talked to Kevin Gosman. Things were going well, and the Blue Jays were doing the things that they were supposed to be doing. They were about to complete a sweep of the Pirates in Pittsburgh, and Pittsburgh was in first place, and they started the season 20-8 or something like that. And Gosman said to me at the time, it's going to come down to the last 2 weeks. It always comes down to the last 2 weeks, no matter how good you are, no matter how easy you think things are going to be. It always comes down to the last 2 weeks. And he was 100% right. Nobody expected this Toronto-Texas series to be as huge as it is going to be, but it is. That's the way things have worked. The Blue Jays have disappointed. Texas has had the bottom fall out over the course of the last month or so for them. And you know, here we are.
Here we are. I will ask you this. What will be the factors that will determine whether this team gets into the playoffs or not? I'm not of the trained eye. What do they need to shore up to win this particular series this week and the rest of the way to get into the dance?
Well, it's going to be hard to win the series this week because they shot themselves in the foot last night. They were by far their own worst enemy. Chris Bassett let a runner get to him and balked a run home. There was a terrible send home for Kevin Kiermaier with nobody out in the third inning. They did a lot of things wrong, and they had been doing a lot of things right for a while. I mean, they'd won 7 of their last 9 games going in, and Texas had lost 16-22. So in order to win the series, though, they've got to win the next 3, and that's tough, but that would secure them the tiebreaker over Texas and obviously would open up a 3.5-game lead over the Rangers. It's not going to be easy to do. What they need to do is just continue to play the way they played against Kansas City and Colorado and Oakland and against Boston earlier in August when they swept them. Have the pitching working, have the hitting working, have the defense working. Don't beat yourself. The Blue Jays have beaten themselves far too many times this season, but we had thought that it was cleaning up. It certainly did not last night, and that's what they've got to do. More than one person on this team has said that when the Blue Jays play their A game, nobody can beat them. And I believe that that's right. When they are on with all facets of the game, they're among the best teams in the major leagues. And we saw it back in May when they swept Atlanta, and Atlanta's been a phenomenal team this year. That's what they have to do. Just don't beat yourself, and things will wind up going very well. You know, there are, 22 games left in the season. I think maybe 19. I'm not sure. I think they're 80 and 63, so it will be 19 games left in the season. They're not going to win all of them. They're probably not going to win 2/3 of them. But if they go 11-8 to close it out, they'll be fine.
Let me ask you this. I don't know if you have a vote for these things, and if you do, I apologize for overlooking that. But who would you vote for as MVP of the Blue Jays this year?
I don't have. I mean, there is no. I guess I have a vote because the Toronto chapter of the Baseball Writers Association gives away those awards at the end of every year. I mean, I think, without having really thought about it much, to make a snap decision, I think it's probably Bo Bichette. When he's been their best hitter by far, he has improved defensively to the point where he's probably a slightly above average defensive shortstop. Before he got hurt, he was in line to win a batting title and lead the league in hits for a 3rd straight year. And he's really, as much as they say, as George Springer goes, so go the Blue Jays. Springer hasn't had a great year, but when he's been great, the team has won. Bo Bichette has been the steady constant every time he's been in the lineup. I'll take a good look at it and hammer away at it, and I will poll the players as I do every year to find out who they think the MVP of the team is. But I think if I had to vote right now, it would be Bo Bichette.
I appreciate the answer because we watch almost every Blue Jays game, and while I play baseball, I don't consider myself in any way an analyst. The woman I live with lives and dies with the Blue Jays. I asked her that question, and she says there is no clear answer to that. And I can't feel like that's a good thing.
Well, it can be a great thing because it can mean that a whole bunch of people are contributing.
It's a lot of candidates, yes.
To a winning team,
Yeah.
Right. But this year, not so much. I mean, we expected Vladimir Guerrero to have a much better year. We expected George Springer to have a much better year. Alejandro Kirk to have a much better year. Whit Merrifield was going really well, but, he's not a guy who hits for much power, and he's only had one hit in a week now as we speak. The pitching has been tremendous, but it has been really well spread out over the entire starting rotation. Jordan Romano has been wonderful with just 3 blown saves at the back of the bullpen, and the whole bullpen has been terrific. Like Tim Meza has been incredible. He's got an ERA at like 1.30. I don't think he hadn't given up a run to an American League team until the end of August. There are a lot of candidates on the pitching side. Dalton Varsho and Kevin Kiermaier have been unbelievable defensively all year, and that has made the pitching look really good. But there haven't been, it's true, any real standout offensive performances. I think if you had said at the beginning of April that we'd be sitting here on September 12th and the Blue Jays home run leader would have 21, we would all be floored. So it's true that there hasn't been a standout offensive performer on the team. But it's funny, when you build your team around pitching and defense like the Blue Jays have, and you get that pitching and defense, sometimes you don't get those tremendous offensive performances, although there's a lot of offense on this team that just hasn't lived up to expectations.
Yeah, and now isn't the time to reflect on the offseason, but I would say the Kevin Kiermaier signing's been fantastic, and the Brandon Belt one hasn't been that bad either. What's your assessment of that, the augmentations? Because as we sit here today, they are in a playoff spot. Let's be honest. They could be playing playoff baseball, and that was the goal.
That's the goal, right? All you got to do is make it in. You can't guarantee yourself a division title, even though we all thought they would be competing for it, and they didn't. But really the only thing that matters is making the playoffs. That's it. The only thing that matters. And right now they're in a playoff spot. They're in fact in the second wild card spot in the American League. They're ahead of Seattle. They're ahead of Texas, who's third, and Seattle, who's a half game behind the Rangers. So all that is good. As much as the doom and gloom surrounds them, they're probably going to win 90 games. Most of the games they have left, all but 6, are against teams that are behind them in the standings. There are a lot of good signs in what's been a very disappointing and frustrating year. And I totally forgot. Oh, the offseason, right. Kevin Kiermaier, wound up being a fantastic signing. The thing with Kiermaier was he going to be able to stay healthy? And he's been on the injured list, but only once and only for 10 days. He has posted and he has gone out and been, like he said, the best 9-hitter in the American League and provided phenomenal defense. I know a lot of people are upset about the Dalton Varsho trade, but Dalton Varsho is the best defensive outfielder in the major leagues. And the fact that the Blue Jays have such a good defense is the reason that they have such good pitching. I said it at the beginning of the season. You're going to look at the end of the season and say, man, they pitched great. What a great pitching year this team had. And it's going to be because of Dalton Varsho and Kevin Kiermaier and Matt Chapman and having George Springer in right field instead of center. And that's exactly what's happened. That stuff doesn't show up in the box score, but Dalton Varsho has had such an incredible defensive season. He has made this pitching look really, really good. They did what they accomplished. What they set out to do in the offseason was to get more left-handed, to be better defensively. And all that happened, but Vladdy had a down year. Springer had a down year. Jansen got hurt 3 times. He was having a terrific year. Kirk had a down year. Chapman had a down year. So the guys that were here already didn't live up to their end of the bargain. As far as Brandon Belt goes, he's again suffering from the back, and I'd be surprised if they didn't put him on the injured list today. I saw him in the clubhouse after the game last night, and he was looking like me when I throw my back out, and which is not pretty. But when he's been in the lineup, look, he's their best hitter. He's leading the team in OPS among every player who, is not part of the Buffalo bunch. Those three guys who've only been here for a month, Schneider and Clement and Horowitz. But for people who've been here the whole year, Brandon Belt has been their best hitter. So absolutely, they hit on that too. He just hasn't been able to stay healthy.
A wonderful update. I hope the next time we're previewing the playoffs or talking about the playoffs. Mike, thank you. Enjoy the baseball.
Would not surprise me if we're previewing the playoffs at the beginning of October. Thanks, Rod.
Outstanding. The great Mike Wilner from the Deep Left Field Jays podcast. We'll be right back with Audience Takeover and a sports update. Get your texts in now, 902-518-3033 for EMJ Marketing, or in the stream online chat. We'll return in a moment on Game Plus TV, WQEE Radio, podcast, and YouTube Live.
The sports landscape continues to change, and teams and facilities are under more pressure to provide online and in-venue entertainment. They need the right team to deliver their product. Look no further than IKS Live. We provide service across North America and produce the best fan experience across all platforms.
Hey, Rod Squad, now you can join the team with your very own RP Show gear. Head to rodpedersenshop.com and get yours today while supplies last. It's just like we wear on the show, official RP Show gear at rodpedersenshop.com.
Hi, my name's Logan Stankoven.
And I'm Connor Bedard.
We're both Hockey Gives Blood player ambassadors and proud to be blood donors.
There are thousands of patients each year in Canada that rely on a generous stranger to save their life.
Please book an appointment today to donate blood at blood.ca/HGB.
Does this look familiar? Your fans deserve an incredible arena experience. It's time for an upgrade. Stunning graphics. Revenue opportunities are just the beginning with our in-venue display systems and scoring technology. Let us help you find the best solution for your facility. EDG, always delivering the best fan experience.
Here's how your business can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show. All you have to do is contact us, and we will tell you all about the dynamic and exciting marketing opportunities we have, utilizing a fully integrated 360-degree multi-platform. Imagine your business seen and heard across Canada on Game Plus TV and around the world on the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. You will use one of the most overused expressions in sports. You gotta be kidding me. Get your business involved. Contact the Rod Pedersen Show today.
All right, it's overtime, which is, as always, brought to you by our friends at Overtime Hockey Lanes in Calgary, 28th Street Northeast. I see that they're packing that barn. You got to get down there and do the same. Where skill and fun collide. I call it an amusement park for hockey players. The owner there, Randy, and his lovely wife, Michelle, sent me a video last night of me out doing tips. I'm going to post that to our social media channels, and you can tell me whether you can do a better job or not. Follow us at The Rod Pedersen Show or follow them at Overtime HL. Hockey Lanes. It's so much fun. Kurt was writing in earlier about Saskatoon, Rider fans being able to smell Regina once they get to Chamberlain. Talk about an inside joke right there. Anyways, Kurt writes in, he says, "Great show, buddy. I'm a former 900 CKBI dude, too. LOL. Keep up the awesome work." Have we reached that status now where we're revered rather than reviled? Oh, yeah, he used to work at... I worked there, too. Because that's a great place to be, in that sweet spot. Revered rather than reviled. Anyways, 902. And I've been both today. 902-518-3033. Text line is for EMJ Marketing. They will provide the perfect keynote speaker for your event. Look them up and ask for Joe at emjmarketing.com or follow them on social media and give them a DM. A sports update. This ain't good. What a Tuesday. Good and bad, depending on which side of the fence you're on. Aaron Rodgers has a torn left Achilles tendon, according to a source, and the quarterback will miss the rest of the New York Jets season. An MRI on Tuesday morning confirmed it. NFL Network first reported Rodgers tore the Achilles tendon. They typically take several months of recovery due to the extensive rehabilitation needed. He was knocked out of the game just 4 plays into Monday Night Football, but the Jets rallied behind their defense and shocked the Buffalo Bills 22-16 in overtime. Jets rookie Xavier Gibson returned a punt 65 yards for the walk-off win. What a week it's going to be. The Jets go into Dallas in week 2, where we will have our way with the Gotham Green. The Winnipeg Jets have named center Adam Lowry their new team captain. He scored 13 times and added 23 assists for the Jets last season. The veteran forward is the 3rd Jets captain since the team moved from Atlanta to Winnipeg. Name the others. Andrew Ladd and Blake Wheeler.
How about that?
And man, did we ever have a lot of fun debating this, and still have. Clark, I feel like I can't let you off the hook. I think we need to know your rankings 1 through 7. You want to write them down before we go off the air? If you're going to wait till tomorrow, that's fine. You're going to put them on WhatsApp. Yeah, we'll reveal it tomorrow. How about that? Or maybe on our social media channels. But our sports update and hockey coverage brought to you by Common Crown Brewing Company. They have the perfect craft beer for your enjoyment, featuring their Core 5, Good Company Hazy Pale Ale, Common Crown Crafted Lager, Journeyman IPA, Brewmaster Blonde Ale, and Coppersmith Brown Ale, 4 of which sit below 5% ABV, making them the ideal beer for your everyday common affair. Wayne in Victoria, BC says, "Thanks, Rod. Another great RP show." Carlos in Indianapolis says, "Great show, everyone." From Paul Jefferson, whom I believe is in the Prince Albert/Humboldt area. He writes in and says, "Revered or reviled, at least they're thinking about you." I guess that's the bonus. Because if they weren't, we wouldn't be in business no more. Scott, watching in Toronto, says, blah, blah, blah. Mike Wellner continues to apologize for the underachieving Blue Jays team. Somebody's got to. Jennifer from the Four Seasons says, "Enjoy the day, people." Last minute of play in the RP show today. Bob McCulloch, I'm not sure where he's at, but he says, "It's so unfortunate. I'm not a big Rodgers fan, but it would have been a great storyline to follow this year. Oh, it's brutal. And like I say, does he want to go through the rehab at his age? You're going to be 40. This is probably the way he goes out. Man, that's the sucky thing. Be grateful for the good things in your life, everybody. Because I look at Aaron Rodgers, all the work he would have put in physically to change course, try something new in New York, and this happens. Brutal. I was just starting to like the guy, too. Tomorrow's just going to be fantastic. We'll tell you who a little later on. Again, follow our social media channels for that. Thanks to Luke Gazdic, Mike Wellner, our entire crew. We'll see you tomorrow, noon Eastern, here on Game Plus and Key Radio.
Who has more fun than us?